We've got a pretty special look at life in Ridge Meadows today on the Express, including the view from this helicopter. On today's show,
come on, fly it.
Premier Helicopter Training's Vertical School of Flight.
I've never seen branches at a table before.
A wedding design studio full of one-of-a-kinds.
I've dreamed about my wedding my whole life and wanted it to be very unique and special.
Ceramic candles were not in the North American market, and we've grown since then.
Chrisland Ceramics custom beer tap business.
So here we have a sample of our Caribbean drink bowl.
International Eats at the Frogstone Grill.
We're really established in the community because we are unique. I mean, the Frogstone is only in Maple Ridge.
See that and more, local expression.
Okay, so I've got sour cream, tomatoes.
Welcome to the Express. I'm Johanna Ward, and this is our Ridge Meadows special. Now, Pitt Meadows and Maple Ridge are not the sleepy communities you might think. Today on the show, we're going to fly a helicopter, meet a big business in the world of beer, and tour the place to go if you want a wedding that's a little bit different. And I mean different like goth reception, not royal wedding hats. There's a place in Maple Ridge where the words typical wedding don't exist, where you can get something a little different. Take, for example, an aisle made of sand for this beach volleyball player.
For her, we brought in sand. We created an aisleway for her, and she walked down the aisle in her bare feet with her dad.
The aim at the wedding design studio is to make even your most wedding-weary guests do a double take.
This is what we call an organza rose overlay. This one is in a hot fuchsia pink. No one else in the Lower Mainland or BC has them.
So we're sitting at a very elegant table. I've never seen branches at a table before.
It's actually a faux branch, and within the branch we have hanging candles. All of our candles we use are 10-hour long, so that's really important.
And they're real.
And they're real candles.
That's real fire I'm seeing.
Yes, it is.
This is a fake branch, but you actually grow your own branches, right?
We do.
Right here in Maple Ridge?
Right here in Maple Ridge. That one creates more height because it's a real branch, whereas these ones canopy over the table.
Now, when I think of wedding decor, I don't automatically think of seat covers, but they're important.
Chair covers are one of the most important things in a venue. Most of the time, the chairs are dated or old. You have to think, when you have a wedding of 100 to 150, 200 people or more, what you're going to see first is all the chairs.
The crew here will attach little extras like this rose, and they'll do it all by hand.
So that's one of 350.
Today, bride-to-be Jody Warren is here because she doesn't want traditional wedding decor.
I've dreamed about my wedding my whole life and wanted it to be very unique and special. It's not like anybody else's, it's just about us, and it's about making our day very memorable.
We ask the bride to come in, take a look around, then we get her to sit down, we go through all the wedding details, kind of her colors, her venue, and we set up a table so that she can see exactly what it's going to look like on her wedding.
Jody already has her eye on that fuchsia tablecloth.
It really makes the table stand out if I want to make my head table really pop.
I guess you could say that living happily ever after starts with a fairy tale wedding. I'm Bianca Solterbeck in Maple Ridge for the Express. The most expensive wedding the crew has ever worked on cost $100,000, and that's just the flowers and decor. Find out more about them at weddingdesignstudio.com. Now, you're watching our Express Ridge Meadows special, all about little-known gems in the neighborhood, like here at the Pitt Meadows Airport, where not only can you fly in a helicopter, but thanks to Premier Helicopter Training's Vertical School of Flight, you can actually be the one flying it.
Okay, so as I lift the collective up to control on our left-hand side, we'll feel the helicopter wants to come into the air. I then use the cyclic and the pedals to position myself and to control the thrust that's being generated by the main rotor.
Well, I think the freedom and the maneuverability of the machine is what attracts me to it.
Not the best of days for your first helicopter ride?
That's okay. Probably pretty realistic, though.
Very much so.
I've been flying for 22 years. I've got about 13,000 hours of flight time.
Okay, so what happened is the nose came up and the aircraft tilted to the left. And what did you do?
I went the wrong way.
You didn't correct, that's right. So I'm going to let you try it again.
Okay.
You have control.
Okay.
Patience. That's the most important part, for sure. It's very, very difficult to learn to fly helicopters, so therefore the instructor must be patient.
You have control.
Helicopters work in very remote locations. Helicopters work in the mountains. They work in areas that no other machine can get to. That's why people use us. The training area we have, 9 minutes from our door, we're sitting on a 7,000-foot peak, so it's very cost-effective for the student to be able to work in very difficult terrain and adverse conditions.
And you see that how critically important it is to be able to hover perfectly still. And that is the hardest part of learning to fly a helicopter.
It's difficult to learn. It's very difficult to get started. It takes a lot of dedication and hard work, and you really have to have a I'm not giving up attitude.
Push it level, push forward, push forward. They didn't tell me you were a stunt pilot.
Helicopters are very expensive. Minimum price for the course is $53,000, and it can also go up to just under $100,000 as well.
Okay.
Make it go level. Make it go level. Come on, fly it. Fly it.
When you go to work all day and your office window shows you the mountains that we see here in the Lower Mainland, it's pretty cool.
Well done.
That was amazing. Oh my goodness. Now I just want to go again and again. The full helicopter pilot training course takes about 6 months, but if you want to experience the grace and thrill of riding in the big steel bird, Premier Helicopters will start offering tours this summer. Now right now on the Express, we continue our tour of Ridge Meadows.
They give you your freedom when you ride the horse.
All rider-horse partnerships are built on trust, and for Deandra Gagnon and her horse Orion, it's no different.
When he does good, he deserves treat.
Except Deandra is a unique rider.
She's 33. She had a car accident 6 years ago, and that's where she acquired a brain injury and left her in a coma for 9 months.
You come up with something new every weekend. I come up with something new to bug you about.
When she came back, she was in a wheelchair. She couldn't speak very well, couldn't eat well by herself. But in the last 3 years, she's learned how to do that.
I love that thing you're on. I was still in my wheelchair 3 years. I was in my wheelchair, and now I'm walking.
The Gagnon family credits this Maple Ridge facility for Deandra's progress.
Every day she goes home, writes in her journal what she's done, what she's accomplished.
North Fraser Therapeutic Riding offers therapeutic horseback riding opportunities for disabled adults and children.
I used to ride Daisy when I first said, now I ride Orion.
Deandra isn't riding today, but visits her pal Orion when she can.
Orion is an awesome horse who has an attitude sometimes, but when I'm riding him, if he does everything I say, good boy.
Her stability, her balance, it was a big thing. That's part of their problem. And with the horse, it increased her trunk strength, her body from the waist up, and just so that she has her balance and feels confident.
Good girl. Sitting on the horse and having them move, it's very similar to what our movement is, and it allows them freedom when they're on the horse to, if they are unable to walk, to realize what it's like.
There are over 85 riders here, all with a different story, but Deandra inspires everyone.
She's clawed her way back to where she is, and she's the most optimistic person, and she's just always upbeat and happy, and it just makes you think, wow, she's dealing with what she's dealing with, we're going to be fine.
In 3 years, Deandra's won ribbons with her horse, and she stays humble. She says it's not because she's good.
It's because I try.
In Maple Ridge, I'm Melanie Pineda for The Express.
The North Fraser Therapeutic Riding Association is in need of volunteers to do everything from coordinating the riders to grooming the horses. You can find out more about that at their website. You're watching The Express, and today's show is all about Ridge Meadows. After the break,
This old machine is the best because it's big, strong, tough, very powerful, and can take the abuse that a student's going to give it.
the Bell 47 at Premier Helicopter Training.
We start with a powdered clay. We take that clay and we put it under pressure and we put it in.
The custom work of Chrislin Ceramics. You're watching local TV on the Express.
Community programming on Shaw has been generously sponsored in part by...
The Express is brought to you in part by Plum, fashion supplier to host Johanna Ward.